Hi, I'm Ruth, and welcome to Inspired Questions, where I have meaningful conversations with women about how they navigate life's ups and downs, or share my own about what's on my mind. And this week would normally be a meditation episode based on the previous week's episode, which was an interview with Mel Grime. Fantastic episode, if I must say so myself. I really encourage you to go back and listen. Me and Mel talked about our burnout journeys, the similarities, the differences, and it was fantastic. And so it wasn't that I wanted to skip the meditation episode that I would normally do, but I've been really called to record what's kind of coming up in my world. And what I've noticed the last few weeks is a lot of people in my universe, friends, women I've met in different places, they are asking me about therapy. And that's working with me, which I'm very honored, but also just how to find a therapist. And I thought that would be a really good thing to talk about because I get asked it, as someone who is a social worker and has provided therapy for a number of years, but also as a person who has a few times reached out to a therapist to get my own support. And I want to share what I know professionally and also what I know personally, so it can hopefully help some of you out there. So I'm going to start with the questions that I get most often, and then I thought I could touch on a few misconceptions as well. So the first question, and I think it's a great question, is how do I know if I need therapy? And I guess let's combine the two. Let's talk about the question and the misconception, because I think a lot of us think we need to go to therapy when we are in crisis, and that is the only time. But that's not true. Yes, therapy, fantastic for crisis situations. But a lot of people reach out to a therapist when they are looking for help with burnout, boundaries, big life transitions, small life transitions, relationships, stress, grief, and even sometimes when you feel stuck. It's not just mental health emergencies. Most women don't reach out because everything in their life has fallen apart, because we're very good at holding things together. But they call because they know something isn't working anymore and they need help seeing what that is and making a change. So then the next one, what kind of therapist should I look for? And it's funny, we get caught up in the letters behind people's names. There's social workers, there's psychologists, there's psychotherapists, there are psychiatrists, and I think that we can get very caught up in all those labels and those titles, but I don't want you to get hung up on that. Really, what it comes down to is their training, their experience, and whether they work with people who are struggling with what you're struggling with. And I think the next one would be, how do I know if they're a good fit? And I think this is probably one of the most important questions, because I'm not going to go into the deep dive of the research, but it does show that when you have rapport and trust, that is one of the predictors of success in therapy. And I think this is where we can get, again, caught up in those labels and those letters and everything like that. The best therapist on paper is not always the best therapist for you. I think we have to consider, do I feel comfortable talking to them? Do I feel heard? Can I imagine telling this person hard things? And I know that one's a huge one for me. Can I imagine telling this person all the dark thoughts that go on in my head? And are they going to judge me? And those are all normal questions to have. I want to I want to say that if you're having those questions, it can sometimes put us off, but don't let it. It's normal. And that's why, and this is the next one, what if I don't click with the first therapist? And this is huge because I think many people reach out for therapy. They talk to someone and it just doesn't feel like a good fit. They don't feel comfortable. They don't feel heard. Maybe they even feel judged. And they think, well, therapy didn't work. When really it was that therapist was not the right fit. Different therapists have different styles. And, you can reach out to one, you can reach out to a couple, but find people who offer free consultation calls. I would say it's a red flag if they don't. They should, because, even at the end of the consultation call, you might not have the answer if this is the right one for you, but you'll be closer to doing that. And if you even go to an appointment or several appointments, and at the end of that, you still feel like something is off, if you're not clicking with that person, it is okay to say nothing. I was going to say it's okay to say this is not working for me, but you don't even have to. Honestly, it's okay to recognize that, but don't let it stop you. Keep looking. Find someone else. Try out different people until you find the one that's the right fit. If they are good therapists, they will understand that. And I always kind of liken it to dating. Generally, I'm not speaking for everybody, but generally, we don't marry the first person that we go on a date with. And therapy is similar. We try it out until we find that person where we have that connection. And so speaking of the consultation call, I think a lot of people also think, well, what am I supposed to ask them? And you can ask, have you worked with people who are dealing with fill in the blank to what you're struggling with? What's your approach? What does a typical session look like? I even really like the question, how will I know if this is helping? And if the therapist gets defensive because you're asking questions, that's useful information. And to me, a little bit of a red flag. So I think those are a lot of the big questions that I've heard from women, from people in my life about, and that I've also had myself about finding a therapist. There's also a lot of myths, and I've already kind of covered it a little bit, but like therapy is only for people in crisis. No, that's not true. Therapy is for anybody. I talk to my therapist when things are okay because I like to have the check-ins, because I don't want to wait till I'm in crisis. I want to catch things when they're kind of up here so I can keep them up here. I don't want to wait till it's down here and then I have to claw my way back up. Another myth, a therapist is going to tell me what to do. I think a lot of us want that. I want that. Not going to happen. You are the expert on your own life. They might help you look at things differently. They might guide you, but ultimately, it is your decision what you do with it. Another myth, therapy means blaming your parents. And no, not really. I think it's just about understanding patterns, but then we're also taking our own responsibility to make changes. And then another myth, if therapy is working, I should feel better immediately. And I think this is a big one. Therapy sometimes can feel harder before it feels easier because you're looking at things, you're talking about things, you're opening things up that you've been avoiding for a long time. And that is okay. That doesn't mean it's not working. I think that at a certain point, you should, though, get a sense of movement, that you are moving sort of somewhere different. I just wanted to do this episode because I think a lot of us are going through some tough times. We're always going through tough times. Life happens, stress happens, the world happens. And I know what it's like to do it alone. I know what it's like to sit in the hard times alone. and I don't wish that for anybody. There is support out there. There are people who want to help you. So if you are looking for support right now, my biggest encouragement and my biggest takeaway from all of this is simply just start. If the first therapist is not the right one, please don't let that deter you, because the right one is out there. Also, I want to say that therapy, it's not magic. It's not going to just, immediately change your life, but it might make it easier. And I think we underestimate the benefit of not doing it alone and having that support. So whether it's with me, with another therapist, or through another form of support altogether, just remember, you don't have to figure everything out alone. And if you like this episode, keep following along. I would love if you would like, subscribe, download, do all the things, and share this podcast with other women, because it just means the world to me if we can get these conversations out there. I also love if you want to reach out to me. I love hearing from people. I love learning about people. That's why I do what I do. Groundingwithruth.com. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. I also wanted to add, if you're in Ontario and you are looking for support, I have recently reopened my virtual practice for a limited number of spots for private counseling, and you will be able to find the information in the show notes below as well. I so appreciate that we're having these conversations. I love that people have felt that they can ask me about finding a therapist. And if you are looking for that support in whatever form, just know people want to see you succeed. People want to support you. People want to be your ground. You just have to take that one courageous step that I know you have within you and reach out. Okay, until next week, stay grounded.